Okay. Good morning. It's great to be here. It's great to be a sponsor for Actionable. And I'm very pleased to share the stage, and I think that's the most interesting part for you as well, with a customer of ours, a joint customer that we have. It's made.com. They use Actionable, they use Productsup. And I don't know if you know made.com, but it's a furniture company, and they really have revolutionized the furniture business. They just disrupted it, at least. They don't really have any shops. They do everything online. They are very customer-centric, customer-focused. But Tim Roberts will join us after the presentation. I'll talk a little bit about some trends that we see in the marketplace. But if you look at retail right now, and it's wonderful to see that Made.com really has opened a little niche there for themselves and growing quite rapidly. But retail is in turbulent times. And we hear that from some brands in 2018 that didn't make it. But actually, retail is still a very exciting time. Retail is still growing. The only thing is, what happens is you go from mediocre retail to a very customer-focused retail. And the customers in B2C and B2B are driving that change. The customer is in control. The customer knows where to get the information. The customer knows where to shop. The customer knows where to share their reviews, where to get their reviews, where to talk to their peers all over the world via social channels. And then they know where to shop. And if you take a look at what Forrester said, that on average, a customer is on 14 different channels before they make a purchase decision. And a lot of retailers are stuck or are not on those channels. They're stuck in traffic. And they actually are the traffic themselves. And what do? A lot of people that are stuck in traffic, they upgrade their car, a bigger car, a more comfortable car, bigger engine. But actually you should be maybe a little bit more agile. Maybe buy a motorbike and try to go through traffic, or maybe a helicopter, or maybe a better GPS. But nowadays, with Forrester saying that they're on 14 channels, the same as in traffic, all of a sudden we have to be on 14 different places at the same time. And maybe it's 50 different places at the same time. We have customers that are on 650 different channels in 65 countries. How do you do that? How can you get there? And that is a big, big challenge that we see with our customers. So customers, brands, retailers, branded manufacturers, and manufacturers, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Where do my customers shop? Where do they get information? It's not just your website. It might be on Amazon, it might be on Facebook, it might be on Pinterest, it might be somewhere completely different, where you not yet are. So first take a look at where your customers are, and where do they get their information. And then, how do I communicate my product data, or what I would like to communicate to that customer? How do I get that data in the first place? And how can I then publish that to those different channels? How can I get that? But where is my product data? Is it inside the company? There's all kinds of different silos. Is it outside the company? That might be images or tracking data. Everything you have. Where is my data and how can I get it and into one place, like a place like Actionable? And then, are there any walls between those spaces where the data is, and what prevents me to get that information, and what prevents me to publish that information? Productsup is a Berlin company, so we talk a lot about walls. We have experience with walls, and we have seen as a company, well, in the city of Berlin, the moment you get rid of walls, then prosperous times occur. I know it's a little bit of a political sensitive issue at the moment, walls, but I think throughout of history with the Chinese wall and all the other walls, I think we can all agree that the moment you lower your barriers, there might be a much better life ahead. I do live in London, so they're trying to build a couple of walls as well, but I'm Dutch and have, thank God, 2 passports. How does the what was in 2000 before 2000? It was a very simple model that we had. There was a manufacturer put the goods to a wholesaler to the retailer to into the shops, and the customer would come and buy it. Well, that model has completely changed, because the manufacturer can go directly to the customer now. The wholesaler can go to the customer, the retailer can go to the manufacturer, and all of a sudden there is this plethora of channels that you need to take care of. And then the moment there's a customer on a channel, you can't really lose that channel because your customers are there. So that makes it very, very challenging. And what you need is something that combines all those channels. On one side, getting the information, on the other side, spreading that information out. So basically what Productsup does is we grab information, we structure it, we optimize it, we analyze it, and then we can bring it into Actionable, and then from there you can use Productsup again to just spread it wherever you need to spread that information. So you get a real end-to-end product flow from Productsup and Actionable together in trying to reach your customers. Some customers, some joint customers that we have. This is a retailer. A retailer has the information as in the master data, the golden record in Actionable, and from there they want to syndicate it out to Google, to Facebook, to some B2B retailers. That can be John Lewis, or it can be a Macy's, or it can be Rue Lafayette here in Paris, or to some marketing channels. And they use Productsup for that. Made.com goes into much more detail about how you actually, or how they actually do it. But on the other side, they want to get metrics back, because it's very important that you know what's happening, of course, and these metrics go back and you link it to a product SKU. Another customer that we have in a joint customer, it's a B2B customer, and they make products, but they also have catalogs that they import from suppliers, so third-party players that they then sell on marketplaces and to B2B retailers. But the challenges that we see with a lot of prospects, and maybe you can see something that we have in common here, or that our customers have in common, when they look at the challenge that they have. One is the increased complexity of data. The volume, the variety, and the velocity of data is increasing. We all know that. Data is the new currency, it all flows, but what do we do with that data? That complexity is getting intenser and intenser. And then you have all that data in different silos. That might be in your PIM, it may be that you have financial data in your ERP. Maybe you have a PLM or a DAM. How do you combine that information? Maybe you have Excel spreadsheets. Maybe you have somebody in a different country that uses a different pricing scheme in an Excel spreadsheet that you need to bring in because you want to put that into certain channels. Or you have external data. Do you have data images or metrics or supplier data? How do you get that in? And then you have the syndication part. More and more channels are coming up, and we all know it. And what we shop on right now is completely different than what it was 5 years ago. And it will be completely different what it is in 5 years. And all these channels, all these syndication channels, they all change their requirements. How do you anticipate that? How can you work with that? You need a tool that just maintains that, and you can just always be in and trust them that your data is consistent and accurate on all your channels. It is one thing to syndicate and build a channel. That's relatively easy. But then, and we talked about it in the conference here, it's personalization. It's the right context that you need to tie into your product SKU. How do you get that context in those channels? So you need to have a best practice. You need to analyze the data. You need to optimize the data for those particular channels. And that is something that prospects from us and customers have struggled with. But a lot of people are in a channel shock. And channel shock means you're paralyzed. You're not really moving anymore. Because there's so many channels out there that you don't know where to start, you don't know where to go to. Yes, there are customers on all these different channels. Maybe I have to be on 50 channels, 100 channels, but how do I do this? And all of a sudden, just because there's so much choice and you don't really know what you're going to do, you're paralyzed. And you don't do anything and you stick with your traditional channels that you have done over the last 50, 20, 10 years. And you might automate it a little bit, but you get from the senior level management that says, hey, we need to get more business share on more digital channels. How am I going to do this? And when I was coming from London just on Tuesday, I came into Paris and I thought, okay, what's similar to a channel shock? And then I thought, well, about culture shock. And I think, well, I didn't get a culture shock from London to Paris, of course, but it reminded me of a time. And I went from Holland to India in 1997, and I had traveled quite a bit before. But I landed in India, and it was rather chaotic. There was like hundreds of the amount of people, the amount of smells, and the sounds, and I got a little bit of a culture shock there. And I never experienced that. And I traveled before, and I thought, well, that's rather strange. And in the first couple of days, I didn't really do too much. And I spoke to the Indian girlfriend of a friend of mine that I visited in India, and she said, yes, I know exactly what you mean about culture shock, because I traveled from India to Holland, and I had the same. And I said, how is that possible? She said, yes, because everything in Holland is so organized. Even the trees on the highway, along the highway, are in a line. And it's true. Every time I go to Holland now and I drive on the highway, there's just trees completely lined up. And I said, oh, wow. But she was paralyzed a little bit as well the first couple of days. But the moment you start adapting, and the moment you start understanding the cultures, and the moment you acclimatize, then all of a sudden you can have a magnificent time. And that goes the same for your channels. If you go into a channel and you don't really know about it, you might not be able to get the most of it, but you need to adapt, and you need some people to help you to acclimatize and go into those channels. The most important thing, though, of course, is everything that we do for those channels and we set things up is the end customer. Who is the end customer? That's what we do it for, and the end customer is changing, and the end customer is dictating where you need to be. And we did this survey with a retailer in the UK, and they said, okay, let's take a look at the customer, the current customer that we have. Well, the customers, like you and me, we are well informed. When we go and shop, we look at a lot of information, we don't have any time, but the moment you go into a shop or you go to somewhere to buy a product, you probably know more about that product than the person that serves you in the shop or on chat that you have. We're socially dependent. We can chat with everybody around the world about a certain product. Maybe they have used it somewhere, but you have your social channels, and you can quickly do reviews, and you can share information. And then we expect personalization, and that is a big theme, of course, personalization and user experience. If you shop for something, if you go to a channel and you look for black shoes and you go to the next channel and all of a sudden your shoes that you looked for are now red and it's a different price, that is not a good experience, and you don't really want to have that. And then we're increasingly passive. I like that, because everybody has these devices now. We can do so much, but actually we don't really want to do so much. We want to get information coming to us. And that information needs to be accurate and needs to be relevant. And last week, it was very interesting. I was listening to Spotify, and that's maybe after Spike, and not really good reference there. No, Spotify. And I was listening to the music, and all of a sudden I get this message. And it says, well, you've been listening to this artist for a couple of times. Did you know that in the next 3 months, this artist will be performing in London, just around the corner from you? Well, I didn't know that. And there was a link. I click on the link, go to the website, could buy tickets. There were tickets available. I bought tickets, and now I'm going to that concert. But it was a really pleasant exchange. It was relevant. It was a great user experience because there were tickets, and it was straight on with one click, and within a minute I can now have this little present for my wife that we're going to this concert. So those are the connected customers, and it needs to be easy. It needs to be easy to use. And now let's take a look in the future. What are some future shopping concepts? And I put these icons on And actually what it means is the one thing that you see, channels will change. We know that the channels will change. The channels will be completely different in 5 years' time. Will it be a smart fridge that will be the new supermarket? It does make perfect sense, because the fridge will know when things will expire. It will know what kind of allergies I have. If I link it to my calendar, it might know that I have a barbecue party coming up, and the guests that I've invited, there might be some that are vegetarian. So let's make sure that I have the right food in the fridge, and the fridge can order it for me. Self-driving cars, we will have more time in a car. So there will be screens. Can I do something different with my product data? Can I send it out? Augmented data, augmented reality, virtual reality. Again, it's just more data in different formats that need to be consumed by those channels. And are you ready to consume that or send it to those channels to consume it? In the videos that we just saw about Timmy, the screenless commerce, that's a big thing. There is more and more economy around that, of course, that how do I get my product data to being exact as without a screen? Because I'm ordering it, I'm walking through my house, I need some new washing detergent. Okay, just order it. Whatever it is, I'm happy if it's eco-friendly, fine, just whatever brand it is. But you may have to make sure that your brand is on top there. And then AI, of course, that is all about data. They want to have as much data as possible. And if you have recommendation engines that work on that, you have to make sure that that data is available. And then the last bit is there are new gatekeepers in town. We have Facebook. We have that screenless commerce with your chatbots. It's Google, it's Amazon, it's WeChat, it's Alibaba. It's they have the connection with the customer. You as a brand or retailer, you don't have that connection, that direct connection. Yes, you try it with your website and you're trying to create that connection, that emotional, that experience. We all talk about that experience. And yes, we have a service, but how do you create that experience? And a lot of times customers will first interact with these new gatekeepers. And how do you react with that? And how can you be on the forefront with those gatekeepers? And that's important. And that's what we're trying to do with Akineo. That's what we're trying to do if we combine Akineo with Productsup. You create a master data record or a golden product record in Akineo, and then you make that data record slightly agile to mold it into the channels that you need it to send to. And that can be marketing channels, that can be social channels, that can be marketplaces, or any retailers or GDSN, or whatever information you need to send out to the channels where your customers are. We can mold that information very easily. We can structure the data, optimize the data, and then set rules to publish that data in the correct way, in a consistent and accurate way in those channels. But that's not all, because on one other side, we can bring information in from suppliers. We can bring in pricing data, product ratings, ROI data, images. Wherever you have that data flying around, we can bring it in. We want you to create your product information once. You want to publish it everywhere, and you have to do it in the right context. And that's where our two companies come together. And with Productsup, we have as a standard 1,500 channels that you can send it to, but it's really easy to set up new channels as well. But it's one thing to hear that from me, because I work for Productsup. It's much more interesting to hear that from a customer, a joint customer that we have, and that's Made.com. I would like, after a little video that we show from Made.com, would like to invite Tim Roberts on the stage. But Made.com, as I said, has a very successful business model, and it really disrupted the supply chain in furniture. They're now in 8 markets. They want to expand really rapidly in this year. And Tim manages a team of around 20 people in syndication and in paid search. So thank you for listening. I will play a little video of Made.com now, and afterwards Tim will come on stage. Thank you.
Looking for furniture that's a little bit different? At Made.com we work directly with designers. We don't spend money on high street stores. We don't pay importers, wholesalers and other middlemen. And there's no costly stock gathering dust in a warehouse. Just beautiful new designs every week, but at undesigner prices. And that's how things are made, by Made.com.
Hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to thank Productsup and Akinio for inviting me here to talk to you today about how we in online marketing work at Made.com. So a little bit of background behind me. My name is Tim Roberts. I work in the acquisitions marketing team based in the London office, focusing specifically on paid search. So running Google ads, Bing ads in both text and shopping formats. So we use Productsup to manage our feeds. A little bit of background behind Made. So I've seen in previous decks, many of our product images have been shown. So I think you know what we do, but we essentially an online furniture store. So we sell homewares to furniture products. We design the products as well ourselves. We have around 3,000 SKUs on our site. Company was founded in 2010. We first launched in the UK, and now we operate across 7 other European markets, with France and Germany being the next big 2. As Emile alluded to, and as the video mentioned, we didn't invest in physical stores from the beginning. We very much invested heavily in the online business model, and we only have physical showrooms in some of our key locations across Europe. So everything revolves around our site. So from an online marketing team, I just want to talk to you through how the structure of a team. So our site is a global site, and all of our markets feed off of this site. So for every market site, there is a country manager. The country manager oversees all the marketing and all the operations for all the online channels. So they will set the targets, they will set the objectives. It's always revenue, our ROAS and spend targets for each of the online channels that we operate on. Along with the country manager, we have a head of acquisitions who oversees all the paid and organic media. And then I'll just quickly go through what each of the channel owners do. So myself, I work in paid search, so running ads on Google and on Bing. We have an online marketing specialist, so these guys will look at managing our affiliate network, display, Criteo we use for retargeting. We have paid social specialists, so these guys will be running ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest, and probably soon Snapchat. SEO specialists, so these are the guys who search engine optimization, so organic listings and search, so trying to increase our visibility of our site on Google and on Bing. We have an online trading specialist, so they would manage our website where the products will be showing. When we have big promotions like sales on, they would make sure that all the sale messages is very visually appealing and showing across all the various pages. Campaigns specialists, so these guys look after the direct traffic, so the TV advertising, all the ads that we do out of home. So probably seen many ads on the Paris Metro. We have them on the London Metro as well when there's a big sale on. But that's what the role of the campaign manager. And then PR, so these guys will be looking after events, influencer marketing, that kind of thing. So every market is structured in this way. All the online marketing is run through London. It's all centralized. We keep it that way because it's easier to manage, easier to kind of surface insights and review performance across the channels. So which channels do we work on? So every market operates in 3 areas. So we have brand, we have prospecting, and we have remarketing. So for brand, we have that is the traffic that comes through direct. So if someone types in Made.com straight into their browser, that is direct traffic. Typically, that's influenced by if we do more out of home or if we do more TV. We have paid search. So this is my channel. So targeting branded terms on Google and on Bing. And then SEO. So similarly to kind of paid search, but obviously organic, so trying to increase our visibility organically behind branded terms. Then we go on to prospecting. So prospecting for us is a big part of the business because, like any business, we want to try and increase our customer base. So a lot of our spend and a lot of our efforts go into prospects. So we have a multitude of different channels where we try and prospect to acquire new customers. So paid search. So I would run generic terms or target generic terms on Google, like sofas or chairs or dining tables, so very competitive, high volume terms. So I need to be strategic as to how much money I'm putting behind certain terms. Similarly with SEO, so we try and rank our site as high as we can on Google's results pages to get organic traffic or free traffic. Paid social is a very big channel for us because a lot of people, obviously, Made.com, it's a cool designer brand, so a lot of people are on Instagram and on Facebook, kind of liking, sharing different products and different designs that we release. So paid social is a very good way to prospect new customers via different audiences that we use. Display, so display prospecting, so banner advertising, and then affiliates. And we use different affiliate partners, such as Awin, to try and gain new prospects there. Finally, the last area we operate in is remarketing. So we do this again through quite similar channels to what we do in prospecting and brand. So paid search, so retargeting audiences on Google and on Bing. Based on whether they've purchased or whether they've taken action on the site, so trying to get them back to the site. Similar with paid social, Criteo is a retargeting channel that we use across all of our markets, and then email, obviously. So any new releases, we would fire out emails to our customer base. So how do we use Productsup? So Productsup to us is very much a product management tool where we house all of our different online marketing channels. So all the channels that we operate which require feeds, so Google Shopping, Facebook, Criteo, a multitude of different channels. So I want to try and explain to you how the data is flowing between our systems until the end product, which is basically until the export, until it's finally sent to the ad servers. So at Made, we have a huge product database, as I mentioned, and we have over 3,000 products. We have them in multiple languages, in multiple countries. So huge variety. So we have different databases which we keep all this product data. So one of them is Magento, which is our e-commerce platform, with delivery cost database, Akenio, where we have a team that inputs all the product information, so the images, the descriptions, the titles, and then stock levels. And these are just a few of our databases. So we have many more. So how does it flow into Productsup? So it goes through, so all that data from the database gets downloaded as CSV files. It then gets fetched into Productsup very frequently. And then Productsup automates the whole, combining all of that data to make it a market-specific source file. So it'll show within that market the right SKU that we're selling in the right country, in the right language. So it automates that whole it acts as a conduit to get that raw data on the previous step to a market-specific source file. And then on the final level, which is the area that I would operate in, it then goes back into Productsup, and then it will get exported to the various online marketing channels. Here's just examples of Google and Facebook that we advertise on. So once all that data has come through from the database, it's been transferred into a source file for the market, it's then into the final export. So this is the view that I would look at. So it comes in as on the import level. So it's all, and it's shown as different columns and attributes in like a very neat way in the platform. So within the data flow, we can see all the different columns, which whether it's SKU or title or product description or images. And then the next level after the source, so we don't really touch the source level. We start manipulating the data or processing the data or refining the data actually on the intermediate level and then the final export level. So A very good thing about the intermediate level is because any changes we make here, it'll automatically reflect across all of our exports, so all of our online marketing channels. So, for instance, we often have free delivery periods where the shipping price, we need to change it to 0. And we could do this on the intermediate level, and then that will immediately be reflected across all of the exports, which is a big time saver. Additionally, on the final export level, so this is the final step where the data is as refined and customized as it can be based on the needs of that marketing channel, and then that's finally exported to Google or the Google Merchant Center or Facebook, our affiliate network. So that's the final piece, and we kind of create customized columns. We run a lot of tests to try and which we run through Productsup to try and refine, polish the data as much as possible. So Emile mentioned there's a lot of rules that we have available to use in Productsup. So a few of these rules I'd like to kind of give a bit more insight into how we use it. So the view here is the whole data flow, so from the source to the intermediate to the export. For Google Shopping specifically, we use the append prepend text column. So this basically allows us to change text, move text around, because we love testing in Google Shopping, specifically around the titles, because the first thing you see in a Google Shopping ad is obviously the image, but then the consumer can see what the title is or the product is. So we do a lot of manipulation of the titles. We can perform, well, we have a rule which we use quite often to perform basic math. So we often have sale periods. So we have 2 main sale periods, winter and a summer sale. And when the original price becomes a sale price, Productsup is able to calculate that difference either as a monetary amount or a percentage. And then we can use that to pull through into our shopping titles. So it's very powerful. It's very it's all automated through Productsup. So we don't need to kind of use a Google Sheet or an Excel to calculate it ourselves. It's all done within the platform. We can also skip products from the export. So if we were said by the business that we're running out of stock or stop advertising these specific products, we can set rules and exclude products to skip them being sent to the ad server. And then finally, so we do a lot of image manipulation. So we run a lot on paid social more because obviously it's very visual format. We use resizing. We can resize the image. We want to make it as visually appealing to the customer as possible. We can remove white space within the platform. We can crop or superimpose images. This is an example of a sofa which is obviously on sale. We can pull that. We can create roundels within Productsup to push that roundel or that sale message across all of our products. And it's powerful. It obviously increases the click-through rate. And it saves a lot of time, and we can do it across multiple different exports, multiple different channels. So I think to summarize, Productsup allows us to automate a lot of processes. The fact that it's easy to use, well, I say easy to use, but it is quite, at first it's quite challenging to get your head around all the rules and how all the data flows, but once you've kind of cracked it, it's very powerful to execute tests. It saves a lot of time because changes we make on various levels, like the intermediate level, can automatically be reflected across all of our exports. Well, thank you for listening.